God save the Queen. A lovely human being. What future can I dream? Don't tell me what I want. Don't tell me what I need.
Please state your name and address for the record. I do have a public comment, just the little blurb. Yeah, the little blurb. Okay. It says, under public comment, citizens may address any item concerning city business that they wish to discuss with the mayor and council. All speakers should deliver their comments in a courteous and efficient manner and respect the 3-minute time limit so that others will have time to speak, and the council will be able to consider the other items on its agenda. Anyone making out-of-order comments, using profanity, making personal attacks, or acting in an unruly manner shall be subject to removal from the meeting. Please sign in and state your name and address for the record. If that doesn't give you warm fuzzies, I don't know what would. But yeah, please state your name and address officially. Excellent. Councilmember Graham.
Thank you. Following up on Councilmember Trotter's comments, one of the things that I think is really important in relation to trying to implement the strategic plan is the way that we look at our tracking sheet. And I think that we should start to package these things that are in the tracking sheet so that they're consistent with the strategic plan goals, because only then doing so would make the strategic plan actually closer to being operational than it currently is now. And following up on that, once we get the outlay of the strategic plan updated with the tracking sheet, we actually establish some really clear priorities. I'd love to work with the administration to look at having some real concrete work plans, and so we can actually see how this stuff fleshes out and when the council would take action, when we need to refer and have action and discussions by the agencies and public comments, et cetera. So I appreciate Councilmember Trotter's comments on that. The other thing that I've asked for and I'd like to see either in an executive session or in a work session is a formal update and briefing on the MOU negotiations that have been going on. I don't see this on the workshop, and so maybe we're looking at that as an executive session item because it is a legal issue, but I would like to see that discussed in some form so that we can get briefed on what our strategy is and what the status is and where that actually we see that being resolved in the near future.
Excellent. We can certainly do that, Councilmember Graham. Ms. Masco will be in contact with you regarding your desire to be involved in the work plan. We are already making movement in that arena and putting together, Ms. Masco is working with my administration team to come up with a sheet of milestones by quarter that actually ties it back to the strategic plan. Some of those items you're going to see on by quarter, though, are operational things, and it is really snowing outside. I just looked out the window, so we're going to speed this up. So we are looking at how do we tie that together with the strategic plan, but obviously there are things on a daily operational issues that we have to take care of, whether it's federally mandated, state mandated, or a grant process that we're going through. We're trying to capsulate that. We're going to need at the next workshop take you down in the weeds a little bit, hopefully to get just give some overall understanding, and then bring you back up to the higher level of how do we go forward. As far as an executive session, I would anticipate an executive session at one of the next 2 regular council meetings. That being said, any more questions on item 9A? Seeing none, moving right along, Mayor's report. I have one item, and that is great. Mr. Holt, Officer Holt is still here. Will you please stand? Are you scared yet? So hopefully the camera has zoomed in on you, because we would like to really say thank you. You stand out in the region. What Officer Holt did in a neighboring jurisdiction was to help in a search and investigation to find a missing person. And his efforts are absolutely phenomenal, whether it's getting drunk people off of our streets or helping find missing people or doing whatever it takes in the union, with our fire guys, with our staff within our community. And we want to thank you for a job well done. Councilmember Westman.
Since this could ultimately become a land use permitting process by the owner, then we would proceed into a hearing examiner type structure. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And we have been going through that hearing examiner structure having to do with the Bell Hill 1 and 2, and also have the potential of doing a very similar type process with the Creekside property as we are going through the land use process. And I must say that council, I very sympathetic with the comments that Mr. Hill mentioned. The council is not directly involved at any particular point in time in that land use process. And it has been relegated on over to a hearing examiner, one individual, and for us to present a elected representative's point of view, we have to go ahead and go to the hearings and speak as individuals. At some particular point in time, it seems to me that we either allow the elected officials, this council and other councils in the future, to be an active participant in this process, or eliminate the hearing examiner process completely, so that the people through the council, as well as through public testimony, will have a direct input as far as the land use that is taking place here in DuPont. We have been isolated, we're not involved directly, and to me, we are doing a disservice to the citizens. Thank you.
Council, I'd like to suggest going back to item number 9A, which is the council agenda for workshops, that we actually put on there the land use process, and we look at in a workshop, is our land use process working? If it's not, how does it need to be revised? Because that decision lies within you. If our code isn't working, then we need to update it, and that decision lies within you. And that's a discussion I see that would be very helpful to have at this point. At this point, my administration is doing a phenomenal job navigating through that process. That would be my suggestion, is that we look at that at a workshop. Councilmember Hills and Councilmember Coffey.
Well, I understand going back to discussion items, council workshop. My feeling lately has been that many of the things that get put on that list don't get prioritized. Those things that are important get left on the list, and we end up talking about things that have much lower priority. This seems to me like a high priority item, and I would hate to see us get it onto the list only to have it get lost in the list. And so if we could start to look at the prioritization of that list, which I think is what was suggested by a council member earlier in the evening, that would be a great help to me, because this seems like priority. Thank you.
Councilmember Coffey?
Yes, I would expect that that particular study session would be directed by our city attorney, who's familiar with land use, rather than just council members sitting around
Absolutely.
talking. You know, there has to be, you know, we need this laid out according to what the law is, and look at our DMC.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Being attractive is the most important thing there is. If you want to catch the biggest fish in your pond, you have to be as attractive as possible. Make sure to keep your hair spotless and clean. Wash it at least every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks. And if you see Johnny Football Hero in the hall, tell him he played a